This is the moment everyone's been waiting for. The final battle for the title of the strongest in the world of Hera. The commentator is losing his mind. It's the undying war King Lin Jie versus the sword Saint Bailey Greatwall in an ultimate showdown. People are watching in disbelief, wondering if a normal player could really pull off these kinds of insane moves just by training hard. Meet Lin Jie. He's a berserker and currently the #1 warrior in the game. His mechanics are perfect. Every strike hits a vital point, like he's some kind of demon from hell. Bailey Greatwall is the top-ranked swordsman, but even he is being pushed to the brink. His defense is completely collapsing. The advantage is massive now. Bailey doesn't look like he has any strength left to fight. A system alert flashes. His HP is critically low. The champion of the road to the strongest is about to be decided. Lin Jie stands over him, casually resting his massive blade on his shoulder. It's basically over. He lets out a small smirk, telling his opponent that the win is his this time around. But Bailey isn't ready to accept defeat. He's got that desperate, dangerous look in his eyes. He can't wrap his head around losing here. Not after everything he's done to get here. Suddenly, the arena lights up red. Bailey decides that if hard work is going to beat him, he'll just throw it all away and cheat. He activates a forbidden tool, infinite weapon durability. His shattered blade glows and repairs itself instantly. Then he drops 500,000 credits on another cheat, super speed. Lin Jie can only watch in confusion as the alerts flash. Bailey lunges forward with impossible momentum. Lin Jie realizes too late that he's facing a literal cheat device. The speed is unnatural. A blue trail of light slices through the air before the warrior can even blink. One hit sends Lin Jie sliding across the floor. He's completely outmatched by the paid hardware. Bailey mocks him, saying that effort alone is never enough to change a person's destiny. Lin Jie tries to focus, but his opponent is moving so fast he's just a blur on the screen. Bailey isn't done spending yet. Another 900,000 credits go toward a teleport cheat to end it. He finishes it with a one-hit kill skill that costs over the blade goes right through Lin Jie's chest. It's over. A brutal system alert says his account is being permanently deleted and all his assets are being transferred to the winner. Lin Jie falls to his knees, staring at the man he once trusted. He asks why he was betrayed like this. He demands to know why Bailey would rather cheat his way to a win than just lose fairly. Bailey just gives him a cold, hollow apology. He strikes one last time, saying they should be brothers again in the next life as Lin Jie's avatar shatters. As the system reboots, the undying War King realizes he's actually lost everything. He thinks back to his life outside the game. He started from the bottom with no money or power to his name. He truly believed that if he just fought hard and ruthlessly enough, he could change his entire reality. He clawed his way up to the top ranks using nothing but his own 2 hands. He was just one step away from that final throne, the very peak of the gaming world. He'd put his entire life on the line for this one match. And yet, it all vanished in an instant because of a bribe. He thinks if he could just do it all over again, he'd climb his way back up no matter what it took. He refuses to accept that this is how his story ends. Suddenly, he wakes up with a scream, digital fragments still dancing in front of his eyes. He's lying on the floor of a messy room. He looks around in a daze. It's his old bedroom from 5 years ago. A girl walks in and catches him on the floor, joking that he looks like a corpse. It's Cece, his sister. He stares at her, unable to believe his eyes. In his previous life, Cece was in a coma for years following a terrible traffic accident. She spent all that time in the ICU hooked up to life support just to stay alive. But here she is standing right in front of him. Lin Jie's mind is racing. In his head, he'd spent all the prize money from his career on her medical bills, but now she's standing right here. He grabs her shoulders asking if she's really okay. In his memory, she should still be lying in a hospital bed. Zishi just kicks him in the stomach, shouting that he's fried his brain from staying up all night waiting for a game launch. He looks up from the floor, gasping for the date. He needs to know exactly when and where he is. She tells him it's June 22nd, the day of the ERA open beta. She thinks her brother has finally lost it. It hits him like a lightning bolt. This isn't a dream. He really was reborn 5 years into the past. He remembers the absolute despair he felt when he was betrayed by Bailey Greatwall. But somehow, the scales of fate tipped in his favor. His life and his game have both been reset. He's been given the ultimate chance to start his whole life over from scratch. This time, he isn't going to settle for anything less than the top. He's going to stand at the absolute peak of ERA. Between his meager savings and a loan from some sketchy sharks, he has just enough to buy a game helmet and begin again. ERA, the virtual reality world that evolved alongside its players and sparked a massive global craze. In his past life, he was known as the Undying War God, a legend who climbed to the top with normal gear and pure skill. He was a hero to the free-to-play crowd, proving that brains and effort could beat any whale. He was only one step away from being the strongest, until his best friend Bailey Greatwall betrayed him for power. He stares at the memory of the enemy who kept him from the throne. What did it all go wrong? But dwelling on the past is useless. He'd rather focus on making the most of this second chance. He slides the helmet over his head, vowing to never let those regrets happen again. A system message flashes across his vision. Welcome to ERA Online. He's prompted to choose his class and join millions of players starting from zero in this unknown world. Back then, there were no guides or previews. Everyone entered the game in total ignorance, forced to explore on their own. But for him, a veteran with 5 years of future knowledge, there are no secrets left in this world. He clenches his fist. His strategy and deep understanding of the world are going to be his top-tier advantages. He spawns into the world ready to climb to the absolute peak and become the undisputed strongest. He stands in the starting zone with a confident grin. The king of pure skill is officially back. This is the beginner village plaza, the starting point for every new legend. People around him are already whispering, wondering if he's crazy for picking a warrior in these times. He checks his level 1 stats. Name, Linjia. Class, warrior. Nearby players mock him for walking around so tough with no gear. He doesn't care about their comments. Even after coming back, his choice remains the same. He recalls a memory from 2 years ago, the face of a terrifying monster he once faced. He's chosen the warrior class again, no doubt about it. Even with a fresh start, he'd choose the path of the warrior every single time. People think it's a bottom-tier class that only the scrubs would pick. To everyone else, warriors are just born cannon fodder meant to soak up damage because they can't afford flashy gear or spells. They look down on the class with pure disdain. A flashy swordsman mocks him, suggesting he pick an elegant class like as if he really wants to win. Lin Jie just smiles. He believes in the warrior's own unique path to getting stronger. He knows that by surviving every crisis through sheer effort, you earn the right to lead. That's how he became the undying war god, the absolute top tier of the previous patch. His old stats flash. Level 80, advanced to Berserker. The legendary title itself. Only a player who has survived countless battles without ever dying can earn that name. He looks at the other player with a smirk, asking if they'd like to make a little bet about the future. The fancy player in blue gear looks at Lin Jie with total confusion. A bet? What could a broke warrior like him possibly have to offer? Lin Jie isn't even listening. He's already picturing himself back in his prime, tearing through enemies as the legend he used to be. He knows that the warrior's greatest strength is their massive health pool. They can tank hits from early bosses that would instantly kill any other class. It's the same path he walked in his past life before he was betrayed and everything was taken from him. He's aiming for the Berserker subclass, the ultimate high-risk, high-reward path that converts health directly into raw killing power. Most of the rich whale players avoid it, though. They only care about looking cool or having the highest starting damage. They flock to mages, swordsmen, hunters, and assassins because they have flashy skills and huge fan bases. Most parties you see right now are just piles of these squishy DPS classes. Lin Jie knows he has to keep his own stats high just to keep up with the chaos. But once they face the unbalanced monsters of the early game, those squishy players won't even be able to stand, let alone deal damage. Warriors, on the other hand, have the survival tools to stay in the fight. Combined with his knowledge of game mechanics, his weaknesses are non-existent. A system notification pops quest. New arrival. 1. He needs to report to a man named Outright in Meltone within 5 minutes. He starts heading toward the town, ignoring the noise of the thousands of players around him. He finds his target, newbie instructor Outright. The old man is just as fat and white-bearded as Lin Jie remembers him. Seeing the old guy again brings back a wave of nostalgia. He never thought he'd be standing here doing level 1 quests ever again. Suddenly, someone slams into his shoulder. A voice sneers, "Hey, trash warrior. You just bumped into your lord and master." It's a level 2 paladin named Belai, decked out in silver plate armor. He's blocking the path, demanding a 1 copper coin protection fee to pass. Paladins are the go-to for rich players who want an easy start. They can heal, deal damage, and control the crowd without much effort. Lin Jie isn't impressed. He knows exactly how this guy reached level 2 so fast. It's a classic scam he saw on the forums in his past life. These whales just create a character and immediately drop real money on the newbie X pack to get a head start over everyone else. They use that tiny level advantage to bully real newbies and extort protection fees from players who don't know any better. But Lin Jie knows the truth. These guys have zero understanding of how to play, and their gear is actually trash. They're nothing but paper tigers. The newbie quest reward is a pouch of 10 copper. These bullies figure most people will pay 1 coin just to avoid trouble and still come out ahead. Lin Jie stares him down with a cold expression. Why should I give you even a single coin of my money? Balai loses his temper. Because I'm stronger than you. Just delete your character and start over, you idiot. He swings his sword at Lin Jie's head. To everyone's shock, Lin Jie doesn't even flinch. He reaches out and catches the blade with his bare hand. Balai grunts trying to push the sword through, but he can't move his weapon an inch. He's completely frozen in place. A system alert pings. Grip boost. Lin Jie explains that it's just a basic starting talent for the warrior class. Balai laughs, nervously calling it a useless trash talent that only helps you hold a weapon tighter. He has no idea what's about to happen. Lin Jie just smirks at him. That's only true for an amateur like you. But for me, it's the strongest talent in the game. A dark golden aura erupts around him as he tightens his grip on the blade. Balai is absolutely terrified. With your bare hands? How is that even possible? Lin Jie explains that grip boost actually lets a skilled player block normal enemy attacks without needing a shield or a weapon. It scales with the strength stat. If his strength is higher than his opponent's, he can trigger a disarm effect on a counterattack. He looks at Balai with pure pity. This level 2 paladin actually has lower strength than a fresh character because he wasted all his points. He's a total noob. What Balai doesn't know is that grip boost is the core requirement for one of the most broken warrior talents in the game's future. It eventually evolves into Titan's Grip, the god-tier skill that lets a warrior wield a massive dragon-slaying greatsword with just one hand. Panicked and outmatched, Balai starts screaming for the village guards to come and save him. He thinks you're screwed. The guard will execute anyone who starts trouble in a safe. He points at Lin Jie and lies through his teeth. A pair of level 5 guards with spears march over to investigate. Lin Jie just waves his hand and casually admits that he's the one who hit him. Balai is gleeful, thinking justice is about to be served. See, he admitted it. Hurry up and punish him hard. Lin Jie calmly corrects him. He tells the guards that his action was strictly a defensive move to stop an unprovoked attack. Balai is baffled. A defensive move? What are you talking about? You grab my sword. He doesn't realize the system is about to side against him. Balai tries to use his real-world status to intimidate the NPCs. He screams about being a high-level VIP who has spent a fortune, thinking money rules everything. Lin Jie just watches with a cold smirk. He knows the game's mechanics better than anyone. The system doesn't care about your bank account. It only cares about who struck first in a safe zone. Without hesitation, the guard spear slams into the ground right in front of Balai. The impact sends him flying, much to the horror of his watching lackeys. A system alert chimes in Lin Jie's ear. Because Balai was found to be the aggressor, the system forces him to pay 1 copper coin as compensation for the harassment. Lin Jie casually walks away as the coin appears in his inventory. He didn't just win the fight, he got paid for the inconvenience. He throws a mocking comment back at the fuming group, telling them he'll accept their apology for now. One of the bald lackeys can only growl in frustration. He stops and looks at the rest of them, his eyes sharp and challenging. He asks if they want to donate some of their copper coins, too. Or, he suggests, with a dangerous glint in his eyes, they could just shut up and clear a path for him. The bullies are paralyzed by his sheer of their level 2, but they feel like they're facing a monster they can't possibly touch. Lin Jie leaves them behind, heading toward the quiet corner of the town where the quest markers are thinnest. His quest log updates. Quest new arrival 2. It's time to speak with Outright and claim the reward that everyone thinks is standard. He walks up to the fuddled instructor, sitting on a bench. Long time no see, Outright, he says, his voice filled with a strange familiarity. Outright looks up, blinking in confusion. He wonders how this young adventurer could possibly know his name when the game world has only just begun. Lin Jie takes a seat next to him. Looking at the old man with genuine, he jokes that they're practically old buddies, even though for Outright, they've never met. The reward window opens, offering the standard 3 choices: money, potions, or a basic Outright formally asks him to pick his prize. Lin Jie weighs the options. Most players would jump at the 10 copper coins, knowing they can sell them for a massive profit on the black market right now. But Lin Jie has a different plan. He holds up 4 fingers and declares that he wants the hidden option 4. Outright is stunned, his jaw nearly hitting his chest. He thinks the young man has gone completely insane. There is no 4th option on his list. Then, Lin Jie begins to recite an ancient, cryptic poem about a spark before the dawn dying out twice. The old instructor's face goes pale as he starts to sweat. These are words that no player should know, a secret buried deep within the game's core. Lin Jie continues the recitation, speaking of dark moons and the rift of his voice calm and steady as he reveals the dawn of a new era. He looks Outright in the eye and tells him that he was the one who gave him this code in the first place, many years ago. A vision of the past flashes through Lin Jie's mind, a memory of a hidden quest from his previous life, where he once protected Outright's family from certain death. Overwhelmed with emotion, Outright realizes this is no ordinary adventurer. He feels a deep debt of gratitude, even if he can't fully understand how it happened. Years ago, Outright gave Lin Jie a secret phrase to use if he ever needed help in the future. He promised that even if the system wiped his memory, he'd always remember the man who saved his life. Back in the present, hearing that code has the old man completely floored, and a hidden quest notification pops up. Outright is so impressed that he offers a special reward menu, revealing a secret fourth option for returning veterans. Lin Jie reflects on his past life. He was so close to the top, only to be brought down by dirty, unfair tricks. He stares ahead with a cold, determined gaze, refusing to let history repeat itself. He activates the initial talent stone, a rare item that grants him a starting edge. The other players in the village are stunned. A selectable talent gem is something money can't even buy. He knows he has to start this life in the best possible way if he wants to reach the peak. For his second talent, Lin Jie selects Oath of the Sword. The elder NPC, Outright, explains that this talent was created by the legendary sword saint, Carsamel. Lin Jie is completely sure of his choice, despite how others might view it. A group of nearby players mocks him, calling the sword meta trash and him a total noob. Outright tells him that the strongest weapon isn't the blade, but the person wielding it. The warrior thanks the elder and walks away with a confident smirk. He's already miles ahead of his previous life, having secured a second talent at the very start. He thinks about the pay-to-win players whose advantage disappears once the real grind begins. For someone with his level of skill, even a crude iron sword is enough to dominate. He looks at the different weapon types, axes, spears, and staves, but none of them fit his style. To him, the plain sword is the only weapon that truly demands absolute technique. He had a different plan at first, but he decided to skip the standard starter quest entirely. Lin Jie walked away empty-handed. Knowing exactly what he was looking for, everything has changed drastically, and he's ready to exploit every bit of it. He knows that different choices now will lead to a completely different outcome in the end. He looks up at a massive projection of Bailey Greatwall, the man who betrayed him. He's determined to get much stronger before he ever runs into his former brother again. He wanders into a market area where players are hawking starter gear and weapons. A hooded bully is harassing a low-level vendor, mocking his crap merchandise. The bully kicks a pile of gear onto the ground, calling it absolute junk. Lin Jie reaches down and picks up a simple, unprocessed wooden club. The club is officially categorized as a mace, but he spots a hidden sword tag on it. His eyes sharpen as he recognizes the rare attribute overlap. The vendor, a life skills player named Hawk, begs to just be left alone. The hooded player, Belai, just laughs and tells him he's too pathetic to even be in the game. Lin Jie steps in, telling Belai that no player is inherently better than another. He ignores the bully and asks Hawk how much he wants for the wooden club. Belai is shocked by the interruption and demands to know who this guy thinks he is. Lin Jie pays the single copper coin he got from Belai earlier and finishes the transaction. Belai is furious that someone actually dared to spoil his fun. He claims he was doing a good deed, but Lin Jie isn't buying any of it. The paladin scoffs, calling him a noob for buying garbage that nobody else would touch. He decides the trash isn't even worth his time and turns to leave. The rest of the gang follows, laughing at how he just got scammed by a street vendor. Lin Jie knows that most newbies would never touch a basic club like this. It was a classic scam when the game first launched, designed to trick the thrifty into wasting money. But as the undying war god, he knows his dual-type weapon is a key to his early dominance. Lin Jie looks at the simple wooden club, suspecting there's more to it than meets the eye, possibly an unidentified artifact. He can't appraise the true stats yet, but for now, it'll function perfectly well as a sword in his hands. The system interface confirms his identity as the one who returned, a level 1 warrior ready to rewrite history. Outside, Meltown is in chaos, a flashpoint on the front lines of a massive world event. A system alert pops up, announcing the start of the assault of the Horror Demon's World Quest. He knows his place was hit the hardest during the plague, and now, level 2 monsters are swarming the North Gate. In his previous life, this town was completely wiped off the map after being overrun by the demonic army. Nearby players are eager to rush out, blinded by the promise of high experience points at the gate. The guards block the way, urging the newbies to head for the safer gates until they've leveled up. Lin Jie doesn't want safety. He calmly tells the guard to let him through. The guard warns him he'll lose all newbie protection, but Lin Jie is looking for a real fight. He turns his back on the town and heads toward the gate completely unbothered by the level gap. As he forces the gate open, his act of bravery earns him a massive reputation boost in the town. The game ERA hides a secret system that rewards players for pushing past their supposed limits. The guard captain, seeing his determination, stops him to offer a special side quest. A smug smile plays on his lips. This is exactly the outcome he was counting on. Captain Lance begs him to recover the bodies of his fallen men who are trapped in the enemy camp. Lin Jie knows this isn't just a simple fetch quest. It's a chance to change the entire future of the town. Lin Jie looks Lance in the eye and tells him he's not going for a funeral. He's going to bring them back alive. To clear the Chantry Griffin instance with the best rewards, he actually needs to keep his level as low as possible. He's confident he can take down a god-tier boss at level 1 using nothing but his knowledge of its patterns. Lance is stunned into silence, wondering how this complete stranger could possibly know his name. Lin Jie promises to personally save the men and rid the town of the newbie killer boss once and for all. The captain thinks it's an impossible suicide mission and pleads with him to reconsider. Lin Jie just tells him to relax. He's the miracle this town has been waiting for. He steps out into the graveyard beyond the gates where the air is thick with a sense of blood. The tension, the danger, it feels perfect just like the old days of the Undying War God. ERA is a brutal game designed by developers who seem to harbor a genuine malice toward their players. Further ahead, a large group of players is shouting orders, trying to maintain a solid formation. They're desperately calling for a tank who actually knows how to play the game, rather than just taking hits. For most ordinary players, grouping up and sticking to the optimal strategy is the only way to survive. A few guys recognize him and start pointing, laughing about the idiot who bought the scam club. They mock him for still clinging to his junk weapon while trying to take on high-level content. Lin Jie just keeps walking, finding their petty insults and weak tactics incredibly boring. One of the party members asks if he's actually serious about solo grinding in a zone this dangerous. They laugh amongst themselves, convinced that a level 1 warrior with a wooden stick would only be dead weight. Lin Jie knows that while partying is safer, it drastically cuts into the experience and loot gains. If you're skilled enough to survive on your own, a party is nothing more than a negative value. He watches as a heavily armored player prepares for combat, noting his stiff movements. Lin Jie immediately analyzes the guy, realizing his scorching retribution talent is a massive handicap. The knight looks formidable at first glance, but his talent actually shreds his physical defense to paper. To Lin Jie, a Ghostfire Knight who hides behind a front line is just a walking joke. A cowardly player leads a monstrous war demon straight toward Lin Jie, hoping to let the beast do his dirty work. The system flashes a warning. The demon has locked onto him, its glowing red eyes fixed on its new target. The treacherous player laughs, certain that the level 2 monster is about to send Lin Jie back to town for a free respawn. Lin Jie watches them with a bored expression, immediately recognizing that they've kited the creature over just to kill him. He knows that killing a single level 2 won't even grant him enough experience to level up, but he doesn't flinch. The players standing by laugh, convinced that he's paralyzed by fear rather than just calmly calculating his next move. His eyes narrow as he focuses on the demon's movements, dissecting its predictable attack pattern in an instant. He can see the exact trajectory of the monster's massive blade before it even begins to swing. With a casual step, he performs a perfect dodge, the massive blade whistling past him without touching a hair on his head. He thinks to himself that a true warrior only finds their real strength when they're standing toe-to-toe with death. To reclaim the title of the Undying War God, he knows he must constantly throw himself into the center of danger. His wooden club begins to glow with a faint burning aura as he prepares to show them the power of a real expert. He strikes with blinding speed, landing a critical hit that sends the monster reeling back in surprise. The horror demon roars in fury, entering an enraged state that boosts its attack power by 50%. The cowardly player is horrified, shouting that Lin Jie is for rushing into such a dangerous charged-up strike. Lin Jie ignores him, feeling that he hasn't been pushed nearly far enough yet to truly sharpen his skills. He dives even closer into the monster's reach, inviting its most devastating attacks just to test his reflexes. He lands another heavy blow, the impact echoing through the graveyard as he continues his relentless assault. With a final precise strike to the throat, he interrupts the demon's desperate attack, leaving it gasping for air. He leaps high into the air, the glowing club trailing light as he prepares for the finishing blow. He brings the weapon down with crushing force, ending the fight in a single fluid motion. The system rewards him for the solo kill, and he reflects that this high-stakes play is the only way ERA should be played. The onlookers are speechless, unable to comprehend how a level 1 player just soloed a demon with a simple stick. They try to convince themselves it was just a string of lucky critical hits, unable to admit they've witnessed pure skill. Rex, a smug player in a blue hood and silver armor, steps forward and correctly guesses that Lin Jie is a beta veteran. He offers a hand in friendship, inviting Lin Jie to join his party because they're short one expert for a major raid. Lin Jie doesn't even hesitate, giving him a flat, not interested as he tries to move past the group. Rex persists, pointing out that the Chanter Griffin instance is impossible to solo and requires a full 5-man party. A system notification appears as Rex officially sends an invitation for Lin Jie to join his squad. He tries to sweeten the deal, promising an even 50-50 split of the rewards they find inside. Lin Jie counters by explaining that the 5-player requirement is just a suggestion for the weak, not a rule for the strong. Rex is taken aback, warning him that no amount of mechanical skill can overcome the mechanics of a group instance alone. He boasts that his team is the best chance anyone has of getting the server first rewards and legacy gear. Hawk, a player in a brown hat, warns him that the boss will summon elite mobs that will wipe them without a dedicated tank. Lin Jie looks at them, noting they just happen to need a warrior to take the hits for them. Rex laughs it off, claiming they really value his skills, though he's clearly lying through his teeth. Lin Jie sees right through the facade. They just want a warm body to act as a meat shield for the boss. Rex smirks, waiting for his answer and assuming the newbie will eventually cave to the pressure. To their surprise, Lin Jie accepts, knowing that their presence will actually serve his own hidden agenda. The system confirms that he has officially joined Rex's party, marking the start of a very dangerous alliance. He thinks about how the boss's difficulty and reward scale up based on the number of people in the raid. By going in with a full party, he'll force the boss into its full power mode, guaranteeing a much better drop. Lin Jie walks alongside the party, his mind already on the rare rewards that will disappear forever once the hidden quest is finished. He knows that to reach the pinnacle of this world, securing these specific early game items is non-negotiable. Clenching his fist with iron resolve, he vows to seize this singular opportunity and claim every single drop for himself. Lin Jie stands at the entrance of the chanted Griffin instance, where the ground is already littered with the bodies of fallen mobs. Rex calls him an idiot, telling him he should be saving his strength instead of wasting it before the dungeon even starts. One of the goons complains that the drop rates are so bad you can kill 100 monsters and only walk away with 2 copper coins. Lin Jie ignores them and pulls out a simple wooden club. The club starts glowing as a system notification pops up searching for a host to link with. The lackeys tell him to stop looking since monster weapons aren't lootable in this game. The armor guy laughs, saying if it were that easy to grab monster gear, the economy would be ruined on day 1. Lin Jie touches the club to a dead monster's blade, triggering the artifact's unique fusion ability. A branch of the world tree begins to wrap itself around the monster's weapon, absorbing its form. Lin Jie successfully obtains a Horn Demon's Jagged Sword, a weapon with a near-perfect crit rate. He remembers seeing the same artifact sell for a fortune at an auction 3 years ago in his past life. The crazy thing about this legacy artifact is that it can transform into any item it touches. It previously sold for 100 million, and he never expected to get his hands on it this early. In the early game, players are stuck with junk, while monsters wield powerful gear, creating a massive performance gap. By using the branch to steal their weapons, he can upgrade his equipment for free. Lin Jie checks his stats, seeing a significant boost to his attack power at level 1. He walks toward a town under siege where a massive explosion rocks the buildings. NPC soldiers are desperately fighting a level 5 boss named Chanter Griffin. Rex tells him to stay back, insisting they have to wait for the boss's opening cutscene to finish. He explains that after Griffin kills the soldiers, he'll enter a rest phase with lower damage. Lin Jie tells him he's not interested in sitting through a cutscene and keeps walking. A soldier screams for the others to fall back as the boss looms over them. The soldiers are stunned when they see a lone player stepping up to the front lines. Lin Jie draws his sword, planning to start the battle right now instead of waiting for a script. Another player calls him an idiot for pulling the boss's aggro so early. Rex tells his team to let the fool throw his life away. The boss focuses all its malice on Lin Jie as he charges forward. Lin Jie smirks, knowing exactly what he's doing as he prepares for the impact. He's the one disturbing the world line this time, changing the direction of the quest. His blade clashes against the boss's weapon in a shower of sparks. Rex watches from the side, planning to let the warrior act as cannon fodder before they jump in. One of his men is worried Lin Jie will take a share of the experience and loot. Rex laughs, making it clear he doesn't plan on giving him that chance. A red alert flashes on the screen as Rex kicks Lin Jie from the party mid-fight. The boss swings a massive hammer, sending Lin Jie leaping into the air to dodge. Lin Jie realizes they're baiting newbies to die just to lower the boss's difficulty. They're convinced a level 1 newbie can't possibly win this fight. Lin Jie stares down the boss with cold determination, proving they miscalculated. A dark red aura erupts from him as he declares himself a warrior reborn from hell. The force of his movement creates a shockwave that tears through the air. Rex is horrified, wondering if he just heard a sonic boom from a level 1 player. Lin Jie delivers a powerful strike, demanding the boss face its true end. Lin Jie swings his blade, commanding it to sharpen itself for the final push. A skill called Oath of the Sword activates, boosting his attack power as long as he's wielding a blade. Even with the boss's HP reaching critical levels, Rex's goons can't believe a level 1 is actually going blow for blow with it. Chanter Griffin erupts with a massive surge of purple energy. The system alerts everyone that the boss has entered its dangerous second phase. Lin Jie doesn't back off, stepping right into the center of the deadly aura. Rex and his crew watch from a distance, convinced Lin Jie is an idiot for trying to block a boss-level charge strike. A massive explosion rocks the area, but Lin Jie remains standing through the smoke. He knows others look down on the warrior class, calling it a dead-end choice for players with no future. But Lin Jie understands a hard truth. Not everyone in this world is born with the luxury of choice. 5 years ago, in his previous life, in-game classes were literally priced by how popular and strong they were. The wealthy snapped up top-tier DPS roles, while the poor were stuck with supports or cannon fodder like the warrior class. He remembers a time when high-end VR gear was only available to those who could afford the massive startup costs. As a commoner with nothing, he realized that if you cling too tightly to the little you have, you lose out on every other opportunity. Rex is sweating, unable to comprehend how a level 1 player could survive a direct hit like that. Lin Jie's strategy is to use the highest effort in the most dangerous conditions to pave a path meant only for someone like him. He uses a grip boost skill, turning his sword sideways to absorb the impact like a shield. He trusts his weapon completely, knowing his survival depends entirely on his own timing and reflexes. He leaps into the air with one final roar, calling for Griffin's death. The two forces collide in a blur of motion as the town buildings whiz by in the background. A blinding flash of golden light signals the end of the struggle. A system notification confirms that he's successfully slain the level 5 boss. Lin Jie stands over the fading remains of the monster, his red cloak fluttering in the wind. He admits the hit was heavy, but luckily warriors have a high HP pool needed to survive the gamble. Walking away from the crater with just a sliver of health, he sees the massive 500% experience bonus for the underleveled kill. The level up screen pops up, officially bumping him to level 2. Back at the town entrance, Rex's group is left staring in disbelief at the empty battlefield. Rex is confused, wondering how the boss's second phase got cut short before it could even properly begin. More rewards flood in, giving Lin Jie a revered reputation in Meltown and a rare achievement. With the boss gone, the system announces that the town has finally returned to peace. Loot starts raining from the sky in bursts of magical energy. Rex's goons immediately start trash-talking, claiming Lin Jie must have abused a bug to win. Rex orders his team to start picking up everything on the ground, thinking they're still entitled to the drops. One of the lackeys tries to grab a gold coin, only to get an error message saying he isn't eligible. The guy starts panicking, yelling about why the hell the game won't let him loot the items. Rex realizes the crushing irony. He kicked Lin Jie from the party earlier, so now they have zero claim to his solo kill. They watch in frustration as Lin Jie approaches, knowing they've completely screwed themselves out of the rewards. The primary drop is Chanter Griffin's Golden Bell, a powerful legacy artifact that grants protection and a knockback effect. Lin Jie looks at the small bell, surprised that such a massive boss would drop something so tiny. He reaches out his hand, ready to claim what he rightfully worked for. With a single command, all the scattered loot and coins across the field begin flying toward him. One of Rex's goons tries to swipe a coin out of the air, but he's too slow to catch anything. Lin Jie stands tall, clutching his heavy bag of loot as magical essence swirls around him, much to the frustration of those watching. Rex tries to keep his cool, telling his man Hawk not to worry about the lost items just yet. He explains that in this world, a player's death means they drop everything they've collected in the last 24 hours. Hawk is still nervous, pointing out that Lin Jie just soloed a massive boss and must be incredibly strong. Rex isn't worried, using his eagle eye skill to see that the warrior's clinging to a measly 3% of his health. He knows that even the weakest grazing strike will be enough to finish Lin Jie off right now. Rex confidently gives the order to his crew to flip on their PvP mode, declaring that Lin Jie won't be leaving the area alive. Lin Jie looks down at his spoils, noting that killing the boss earned him 100 copper coins and a mountain of crafting materials. He checks the auction house prices and realizes that single pouch is worth over 1 million in real-world currency. Rex approaches with a smug grin, mocking Lin Jie for being a gullible idiot who worked hard for nothing. Lin Jie stares back coldly, reminding Rex that he was the one who broke their deal and kicked him from the party. Rex tries to play it off, claiming they only stayed back because they had so much faith in his strength. He leans in closer, demanding that they get at least some credit for the boss kill they supposedly allowed him to take. Suddenly, a system alert flashes red, warning Lin Jie that his severe injuries have cut his stats and health to a fraction of their normal levels. Lin Jie stumbles, coughing up blood, as Rex's group surrounds him, knowing he's finally reached his limit. Lin Jie's eyes narrow as he listens to Rex, his mind racing for a way out of the trap. Rex laughs, revealing their true nature as the infamous Rex Rogues, men who kill monsters and players alike without hesitation. He looms over the wounded warrior, telling him it's time to hand over everything he's gathered. A sudden volley of energy arrows streaks toward Lin Jie, forcing him to keep on the defensive. He recognizes the skill as Eagle Eye, a hunter ability that makes it almost impossible to miss on open ground. Lin Jie barely moves, letting the arrow graze his cloak as he realizes Rex is trying to humiliate him before the kill. He asks Rex what exactly he's getting at, his voice steady despite the dire situation. Rex explains his cruel demand. Lin Jie must hand over the loot, his gear, and even his basic clothes while begging for mercy. He wants Lin Jie to walk away from Sinner's Hill completely naked and humiliated in front of everyone. Rex's face is a mask of pure arrogance as he waits for the warrior to crumble under the pressure. He calls Lin Jie a bottom-of-the-barrel loser who thinks a lucky hit on a boss somehow makes him special. Lin Jie simply smirks, his expression shifting from pain to a cold, calculated amusement. He gives a blunt refusal, raising his sword with more strength than Rex thought he had left. Lin Jie tells them they're nothing more than pebbles on his path, too insignificant even remember. Rex's crew looks on with a mix of confusion and mounting anger as the warrior dismisses them so easily. Lin Jie wipes a smear of blood from his lip, daring Rex to make a move if he actually has the guts to finish what he started. One of Rex's goons goes for the kill, but Lin Jie has already popped Eagle Eye, tracking every twitch of his muscles. He pulls out the golden bell, a legacy artifact that starts humming with a dangerous amount of energy. The strike connects, but it hits a wall of pure force radiating from the bell. A massive blast rocks the alley, kicking up a cloud of dust that swallows the entire scene. The lackeys are left scrambling, realizing they're up against a genuine legacy artifact that dropped from Griffin. Even Hawk is stunned, wondering if that golden relic just made Lin Jie completely invincible. Standing in the middle of the smoke, Lin Jie clarifies it's not invincibility. It just bought him the 1 second he needed to breathe. The mage isn't impressed, thinking a single second won't change the fact that they've got him cornered. But for a pro like Lin Jie, 1 second is plenty of time to level up a skill and prepare to wreck all 3 of them. A system prompt flashes, he's got a free skill point ready to spend on a new warrior exclusive skill. He dumps the point into Last Gasp, a skill that triggers when a warrior is pushed into a desperate corner. His health bar surges past the limit, completely resetting the board and leaving him in peak condition. The archer can't believe his eyes. He just watched Lin Jie's HP bar refill like it was nothing. Lin Jie flashes a cold grin, asking if they're ready to see what true power from the depths of hell looks like. The mage tries to play it cool, reminding the others that Lin Jie is still unarmed and wide open. He doesn't need a sword. Lin Jie lunges forward with speed that these guys can't even process. The archer is frozen in eyes wide as he realizes he can't dodge what's coming. Lin Jie's fist connects with a bone-shattering thud, sending the archer's head snapping back. The impact is so heavy, it practically creates a shockwave, blowing the goon away instantly. The mage and Hawk can only watch in horror as their teammate gets dismantled in the blink of an eye. Just like that, the archer is out for the count, one punched into the dirt without a weapon in sight. With his sword gone, Lin Jie's unarmed combat enhancement kicks in, turning his hands into deadly weapons. Desperate to stop him, the mage screams for an ice burst to lock the monster down. A pillar of ice erupts, encasing Lin Jie and leaving him completely unable to move. Hawk sees his opening and swings his massive sword down, intent on ending this right now. It doesn't work. Lin Jie's raw strength shatters the ice prison like it was made of glass. He winds up another punch, his fist glowing with a terrifying amount of power. A massive burst of energy explodes from the impact, lighting up the entire street. Lin Jie stares them down, mocking the mage for thinking a pathetic frost spell could actually hold him. The mage is losing his mind. Lin Jie should be weakened by his injuries, but his battle aura is only getting stronger. Before he can cast another spell, Lin Jie closes the gap and grabs the mage right by the face. The guy is paralyzed with fear, finally realizing that he's not fighting a normal player anymore. He starts screaming cheater, convinced that Lin Jie has to be hacking to have this much power. He stares into Lin Jie's eyes, seeing nothing but a cold, overwhelming force that he can't hope to beat. In his mind, Lin Jie has transformed into a literal demon, a monster that shouldn't exist in the game. Lin Jie doesn't care about the accusations. He just tells the guy it's over because he's already lost. He thinks back to his path, knowing he can't afford to fall as low as the people who abandon everything for power. He laughs in the mage's face, saying, "Only losers cry about hacks when they get outplayed." Terrified for his life, the mage starts begging, promising to quit the game if Lin Jie just lets him go. Lin Jie isn't in a forgiving mood, activating his grip boost with a simple too late. He slams the mage into the cobblestones with enough force to shatter the ground beneath them. With the thugs cleared out, Lin Jie stands alone, the undisputed king of this back alley. Rex thinks he's got the upper hand now, mocking Lin Jie for losing his final tactical advantage in this fight. He's smug, claiming he knows exactly how Lin Jie manipulated his class traits to pull off that earlier stunt. He explains that warriors only get a massive power surge when they're actually surrounded by multiple enemies. A system prompt confirms it. The desperate stance trait triggers only when at least 3 enemies are encircling the player. Since the others are down, and it's just a 1v1 now, Rex is convinced the trick won't work, and the fight is over. Lin Jie just stares him down, his grip tightening on his massive greatsword as he prepares for the real duel. Rex drops his hood to reveal he's an executioner, a high-level PK class that specializes in dismantling players one-on-one. The two clash in a shower of sparks, the impact vibrating through the entire alleyway. They trade blows in a high-speed blur, with Rex relying on his class's weak point assault trait to find an opening. Lin Jie knows the risk. Executioners are designed to stack debuffs with every hit they land. A system window breaks it down, a headshot blinds a target, while a hit to the arm disarms you completely. Despite the pressure, Lin Jie remains calm, his eyes tracking every flicker of Rex's blades. Rex mocks his opponent, surprised that Lin Jie can keep up this much speed while swinging such a clumsy, heavy sword. He lunges forward with a strike coated in purple energy, intent on ending the fight with a single lucky graze. Rex laughs like a maniac, telling Lin Jie he'll be begging for a quick death once the debuffs start crippling him. Lin Jie has heard enough. He starts channeling a surge of raw energy into his next explosive move. He creates a massive shockwave to open up some distance, catching the smug killer completely off guard. Rex is genuinely shaken. He can't believe a warrior with half stats still has this much destructive power. He tries to play it cool, banking on the idea that Lin Jie won't be able to win a long-term war of attrition. Lin Jie shuts him down instantly, making it clear he has no intention of letting this drag out for another second. He ignites into a blur of fire and fury, charging forward to send Rex straight to the respawn crystal. Rex's eyes widen as he realizes he's staring into the face of a monster that shouldn't exist at this level. A final, crushing impact rings out as Lin Jie delivers the finishing blow through Rex's defense. Rex wakes up at the Meltone respawn crystal, stripped down to his underwear, and looking completely dazed. To make matters worse, a system message confirms his level has dropped from 3 to 2 as a death penalty. He stands there half naked in the town square, while his goons remind him that all the gear he stole from others was just looted back. He's bright red with humiliation, unable to believe that all his expensive items were looted in one go. He screams Lin Jie's name at the sky, swearing that he'll never let this public humiliation go unpunished. Back in the alley, Lin Jie looks down at the pile of high-tier gear Rex left behind after his pathetic defeat. Hawk, the only goon left, rubs his head in pain, glad he dumped all his points into defense so he didn't get one shot. He looks up just as Lin Jie starts walking toward him with a cold, unrelenting gaze. Terrified, Hawk stammers out a warning for Lin Jie to stay back, his own sword shaking in his hands. Lin Jie isn't looking for another kill. He just tells Hawk to do him a favor and take Rex's clothes back to him. Hawk is paralyzed with fear, feeling the sheer weight of the gap between their power levels. Behind Lin Jie, a demonic shadow looms as he promises to keep hunting them until their levels hit 0. Knowing he's completely outmatched, Hawk quickly agrees, desperate to avoid the same fate as his boss. He's left shivering on the ground, the pure pressure of Linjia's presence nearly breaking his spirit. Linjia walks away without looking back, leaving the broken lackey kneeling in the dust. To Hawk, it didn't feel like a fight. It felt like he was staring death itself in the face. Linjia stands bathed in a hellish aura, looking every bit like the legendary war god he used to be. System messages flood his screen. He's earned a massive reputation boost and legendary status in Meltone. He reflects on the backstab that started this, but with his reputation maxed out, he's ready to head home and rest. As Linjia approaches the gates of Meltone, he's greeted by an unexpected sight. The city guards have lined up to welcome him back. He stops in his tracks, completely baffled by why the town's NPCs are suddenly treating him like royalty. The guards drop into a deep bow, offering their highest salute to the honored Blade of Dawn as a system notification confirms he's earned a new legacy title. The nearby players are losing their minds, unable to believe that high-level NPCs are actually bowing to a mere player. Some speculate it's a paid VIP perk, while others argue that no one would waste that much money on a supposedly weak warrior class. Linjia is stunned. He recognizes the name Blade of Dawn from rumors he heard during a dungeon crawl in his previous life. His mind drifts back to the game's lore, to a time 3 years ago when the world was trapped in the era of Eternal Night. It was a dark age where monsters ruled the land and the last embers of civilization were nearly extinguished. But then, a legendary human warrior emerged wielding a simple greatsword that somehow summoned the first light of dawn to pierce the darkness. This hero led the combined forces of every race into a final, desperate battle to reclaim the world from shadows. Standing on the edge of a cliff as the sun finally rose, the nameless hero was bestowed the title Blade of Dawn for his courage against the night. Linjia recalls that this is one of the 8 legacy titles the developers hyped up before launch, each tied to a specific heroic epic. They were rumored to be more than just flavor text, potentially offering hidden achievements or incredible rewards, though no one had ever actually found one. A smirk plays on his lips as he realizes he just unlocked one of the game's greatest secrets, right here in this tiny starter town. With the guards hailing his return as a legend, Linjia decides to lean into his new status. It's a much more pleasant surprise than he expected. A town guard approaches Linjia, telling him his heroics have moved everyone in Meltone to tears. He explains that Mayor Green is so impressed, he wants to host a formal banquet in his honor. A system notification pops up prompting him to head over to the town hall to claim his reward. The guard offers a personal escort, but Linjia isn't exactly jumping at the chance for a parade. He turns it down, preferring to keep a low profile rather than attract a crowd of jealous players. Watching from the shadows, Rex scoffs at the whole display while clutching a dagger. He's already planning to jump Linjia the second he finds a dark enough alleyway. One of Buddy's looks a bit shaky, suggesting maybe they should just leave the guy alone. Rex isn't hearing it, figuring a bad reputation is better than none at all if it makes them look like big shots. Another goon asks what the actual plan is to take him down. Rex pulls out his blade, boasting that he's got more clout in this town than anyone else. Before he can make a move, a guard barks at them, reminding everyone that drawing weapons in town is strictly banned. Rex tries to play it cool, acting like they're just talking business with some old friends. The guard isn't buying it for a second, warning the group that they're being watched. Rex backs off for now, but the look on his face says he's far from finished with Linjia. Meanwhile, Linjia arrives at the town hall to meet with the man in charge. He steps into a grand office where Mayor Green is already waiting for him. The mayor greets him with a massive grin, clearly thrilled to see the town savior. He grabs Linjia's hand, thanking him for finally putting an end to the nightmare that's haunted them for years. Linjia tries to be humble about it, but the mayor is already talking about putting him in the history books. It's a huge change from Linjia's past life where he remembered the mayor as a miserable, joyless NPC. Seeing him so lively and healthy now is just more proof that the timeline is already shifting. The mayor leads him to the window, ready to announce a grand proposal to the entire city. He wants to commission a solid gold statue of Linjia to stand in the central plaza forever. He figures everyone who visits should know the legend of the Blade of Dawn. Linjia isn't interested in a fancy hunk of metal, calling it an empty honor that doesn't help anyone. Instead, he decides to throw out a counter-proposal of his own. The mayor is stunned, but listens, offering gold or titles instead if that's what he wants. Linjia points out that since the threat is gone, the town's massive war fund should go towards something practical. He suggests slashing transaction taxes across the board to help new players grow and make the town thrive. His second request is to beef up security patrols to make sure a threat like that never comes back. The mayor is genuinely moved, having never met an adventurer who cared more about others than their own fame. He agrees on the spot, promising to issue the order immediately. Suddenly, a massive, system-wide notification flashes across the sky. It announces that transaction taxes in Meltone have been permanently cut by 50%. The players in the streets go wild, praising their mysterious benefactor for saving them a fortune. Back inside, the mayor is practically in tears from the sheer respect he has for Lin Jie's character. As a personal thank you, he pulls out a special brass key. It's the deed to a vacant 2-story house on the outskirts with a view of the windmill fields. He officially invites Lin Jie to settle down and call Meltone his home. A system alert confirms that he's now the owner of the windmill overlook residence. Lin Jie is floored. Owning property this early in the game is almost unheard of for an independent player. In the world of ERA, everything is managed by a self-evolving AI core that makes the experience as real as another life. Unlike other pay-to-win games, you can't just swipe your card to buy out an entire city's worth of property. Every single inch of land has an official owner, usually a major system, city, or a powerful faction. Some areas are occupied by native tribes who aren't exactly keen on sharing their space with outsiders. Other regions are the literal nests of monsters, so powerful that no human would dare try to evict them. Most players are stuck just renting tiny stalls or workshops, only getting temporary rights to use the land. Even big guilds have to fight tooth and nail for limited territory, and they can lose it all if they fail to defend it. So, having a private house this early in the game isn't just a flex, it's a massive strategic advantage. Lin Jie realizes that having a secure base for stockpiling and research is basically priceless. Mayor Green tells him that having a hero like him living in the town is way better than any gold statue. As a bonus, Lin Jie gets remote auction house access and a permanent 15% discount on everything. The mayor wishes him well, hoping the light of dawn keeps watching over him as he heads back out. Walking through the busy streets, Lin Jie decides it's the perfect time to use his new discount and restock his supplies. He's so lost in thought that he doesn't notice a hooded figure brushing past him until it's too late. A system alert pops up. Someone just successfully pickpocketed him. He realizes he's down 100 copper coins and the thief is already halfway down the block. The thief laughs, thinking they made a clean getaway with an easy score. Lin Jie lunges forward, demanding his money back as he tries to grab the runner. The thief slips through his fingers, disappearing into the crowd with practiced ease. Lin Jie is annoyed, thinking he definitely should have asked the mayor to spend more on town security. He chases the thief into a narrow, dark alleyway, determined not to let them get away with it. He corners the hooded figure at a dead end, telling them they've got nowhere left to run. The thief pulls back her hood, revealing herself as Shalene, a level 6 rogue elite from the dark alley. She smirks, telling him that cornering people is usually her job as more thugs emerge from the shadows. Lin Jie isn't fazed, immediately identifying her as the one who runs the local underground market. Shalene is impressed that he knows her name, asking if he was some kind of closed beta player. Lin Jie just stares her down, remembering how many times he got mugged by NPCs like her in his past life. He's heard this whole script before and knows exactly what comes next. Shalene draws a massive blade, keeping it simple. Someone paid for his head, and she's here to collect. Lin Jie starts going through his mental list of enemies, wondering if it was Belai or Rex who hired her. He asks which one of them it was, but Shalene just gives him a cryptic look. She tells him he should already know the answer, calling him by his title, the Blade of Dawn. Lin Jie scoffs, knowing the guy who hired her is too much of a coward to face him in person anymore. Shalene shrugs it off, saying she's just an NPC doing a job and doesn't care about player grudges. She gives the order to her men to finish him off as they all lunge forward at once. The thugs attack, but Lin Jie moves through them like they're standing still, parrying every strike. With one powerful overhead swing, he smashes a guy right into the pavement. He stands over the defeated thugs, his blade glowing as the shards of their broken weapons litter the ground. Shalene starts clapping, admitting that he's actually pretty decent for a kid. She decides that robbing someone this strong is a losing deal and isn't worth the effort. She orders her remaining men to fall back, telling them they don't stand a chance against him anyway. As she leaves, she jokes that her fee wouldn't even cover the medical bills for the idiots he just thrashed. Shalene tells Lin Jie she'll report back to Rex that the job was a bust because he's just too much of a handful. She bids the little Blade of Dawn farewell, even offering him a drink if he ever finds himself in her neck of the woods. But Lin Jie isn't about to let her walk away that easily, calling out for her to stop right there. Shalene turns back, surprised that being spared isn't enough to satisfy him. Lin Jie isn't looking for a favor. He just wants the coin she stole from him returned immediately. Shalene laughs in his face, finding it hilarious that he tried to haggle with a top-tier rogue after she already decided to let him live. She tells him flat out that the money is her fee for not killing him where he stands. Lin Jie's eyes narrow as he reminds her that he worked hard for that money and has no intention of gifting it to a thief. He erupts with power, challenging her to actually earn the loot if she thinks she's entitled to keep it. Seeing his resolve, Shalene decides to take the bait, declaring that both his bounty and his pouch are now officially hers. They charge at each other in the narrow alley, their forms blurring as the real fight begins. Their blades clash with an explosive force that sends shockwaves echoing through the stone walls. From above, it looks like a dance of steel and shadows as neither side gives an inch of ground. Shalene mocks him mid-swing, warning him that at this rate his weapon's durability is going to tank. Lin Jie realizes something is very different about this version of Shalene compared to the one he knew in his previous life. She continues to tease him, even offering to loan him money for repairs because she thinks he's a good-looking guy. Lin Jie is left wondering why a simple black market NPC is acting so incredibly dramatic all of a sudden. Lin Jie stands his ground in a narrow alley, facing down a group of thugs. Even without his weapons, he's ready for a fight. He clenches his fist, making it clear he isn't going to let this go. A woman with long purple hair and a heavy blade rested on her shoulder, mocking his choice to fight barehanded. She tells him she's in a decent mood today, so she'll play along and stick to hand-to-hand combat. With a sharp grin, she tells her boys to give him a taste of their special welcome party. In the background, her lackeys cheer, certain their boss is about to crush him. From above, the alley tension snaps as Shaylin lunges forward, leaving her sore behind. She closes the distance in a blur, trailing purple energy as she dives toward Lin Jie. Lin Jie sighed, steps to strike effortlessly, noting how slow her movement feels. Shaylin doesn't slow down, calling him pretty boy as she tries to corner him. Lin Jie parries her follow-up strike, the force of the impact creating a bright flash. He realizes she's actually quite strong, far beyond a typical street thug. Lin Jie counterattacks, moving with a speed that catches her off guard. They trade a rapid series of punches, each blow sending shockwaves through the air. She narrowly dodges a kick to the head, impressed by his reflexes. Shaylin continues her assault, trying to find a gap in his defense. Lin Jie sees an opening, but has to pivot as she shifts her momentum. A massive explosion of energy erupts between them, throwing both fighters back. Lin Jie stands tall among the dust, yellow electricity crackling around his hands. Shaylin brushes herself off with a smirk, admitting she can't drop him quickly without her blade. Lin Jie warns her that if they keep this up, she'll end up losing more money than she's making here. Instead of getting angry, she just laughs, finding his bluntness hilarious. She decides she's lost the mood to fight and pulls out a glowing pouch. Catching the pouch, she says wasting time over small change isn't worth it when she could be making real money. She calls for her crew to leave, telling Lin Jie they'll meet again. Lin Jie watches her walk away, thinking she's a very strange woman. He catches the pouch she threw his way, noticing it feels a lot heavier than before. He opens the bag and is nearly blinded by a surge of blue light. Inside sits a glowing eyeball, making him wonder what the hell he's just been given. A system message reveals it's a welcome gift from Shalene of the Dark Alley. Lin Jie stares at the creepy artifact, questioning what kind of cooperation she's looking for. He touches the eyeball to inspect it. The moment his finger makes contact, the eye releases a blinding flash that engulfs him. He drops to his knees, clutching his face in agony as the artifact begins to merge with him. A system notification pops up. He's just obtained a legacy artifact called the Eye of True Sight. He sits back against the wall to recover, surprised at found an item he'd never even heard of in his first life. Looking out at Meltone, Lin Jie realizes this version of the game world is already turning out to be more interesting. He makes his way into the busy town center, weaving through the crowds of NPCs and players. He scans the market stalls, hoping to find more hidden treasures. He stops at a stall where a merchant is shouting about Blackstone or being a copper heap. Looking at the piles of purple crystals, he notes that it's the most common basic mineral in the game. Everyone else sees it as useless junk taking up space, but Lin Jie has other plans. As Lin Jie stares at the pile of junk, a system notification pops up. His Eye of True Sight has automatically activated. His eye glows with a piercing light as he focuses on a specific stone that the merchant completely overlooked. To anyone else, it's just scrap, but through Lin Jie's enhanced vision, this one rock stands out from the rest. The appraisal finishes revealing a hidden starlight stone buried deep inside the ordinary black rock. He can't believe his luck. Wandering over and stumbling onto a treasure, this easily feels like a massive win. He flips a single copper coin to the merchant, deciding to take the junk off his hands before anyone else notices its value. He asks the merchant if the rock is for sale, and the guy practically trips over himself to confirm the deal. Handing over the stone, the merchant laughs to himself, thinking he's just found the world's biggest sucker. Lin Jie just walks away with a smirk, while the merchant celebrates what he thinks is the easiest, lucky copper of his life. Lin Jie cracks the outer shell of the rock, revealing the purple glow of the gem hidden inside. It's a flawless starlight stone, a rare find that normal appraisal skills would never be able to see through. If you were to sell this to an NPC right now, he'd get over 100 copper, but he has much bigger plans for it. He knows that the real value of the stone lies in its use as a rare alchemy reagent when ground down into powder. In the world of ERA, players have total freedom to focus on life skills like tailoring or blacksmithing. Most people treat these jobs as a way to relax between battles, so almost every player dabbling in the game picks up a profession or two. However, there's one life profession that Lin Jie knows most people avoid because of its dangerous reputation. Alchemy is notoriously difficult to master one small failure, and the resulting explosion can literally be fatal. The system even bluntly states that an alchemist's failure can mean slaying yourself. Lin Jie pulls up the current market prices for alchemy products, wanting to see what the economy looks like. A medium healing potion is priced at 10 copper, but the daily supply is strictly limited to 1 bottle. He realizes that with the current cost of materials, most alchemists are actually losing money on every sale. That's not even accounting for the 60% failure rate that rookie alchemists have to struggle with. It's a money pit that ends up bankrupting players who think they can get rich quick off of potions. But after spending 5 years in this world, Lin Jie knows several hidden recipes that the general public hasn't discovered yet. He knows the real secret to profitable brewing is using starlight stone powder as the key ingredient. Thanks to his unexpected gain from the incident with Lin, he now has the chance to make a massive fortune. Nearby, 2 goons watch him from the shadows, noticing that he's stocking up on supplies again. Assuming he's a veteran from the closed beta, they decide to follow him and copy everything he buys. One of them is already doubting himself, wondering if the seller sweet-talked him into buying a worthless stack of ore. Even the merchant starts to panic, worrying that he just sold off his blackstone or way too cheap. Unbothered by his tale, Lin Jie sits on a bench and prepares enough materials to brew 100 potions. He crushes the starlight stone in his hand, producing a fine, flawless powder. The goons watch from a distance, convinced that he's making a high-tier product and that the black stone must be the key. They decide to copy his technique exactly, thinking they finally discovered his secret to making money. Following his lead, they start crushing their own stones, unaware that they're just making common blackstone powder. Meanwhile, Lin Jie begins a delicate process of pouring leaf essence into his crystal bottles. He adds the starlight stone powder to the essence, which immediately begins to react and glow. He knows this catalyst will multiply the effect of the low-tier herb juice by several times over. As he heads toward the fountain, the thugs think he's about to perform some kind of advanced ritual. They watch intently, wondering if the fountain itself is a required ritual site for high-level crafting. He plunges the bottle into the water, the mixture bubbling as it reaches its final stage of brewing. He pulls out a glowing green liquid, his first batch of high-quality potions complete and ready for the market. A system notification confirms his success. Lin Jie has obtained a high-quality medium healing potion. He inspects the glowing green liquid, satisfied that it looks and functions exactly like the one sold in high-end stores. From a distance, the 2 goons watch him finish his crafting at the fountain, completely oblivious to the real secret behind his success. System windows flood his vision as he rapidly produces more bottles, the notifications stacking up with every successful craft. In just a short time, he successfully produces 100 medium healing potions, a feat that would normally bankrupt a beginner alchemist. His alchemy proficiency skyrockets, earning him the rank of skilled as he realizes his past life knowledge is still a goldmine. Word of the high-quality stock quickly spreads, and a crowd of desperate players gathers around Lin Jie, begging to buy his potions. 1 hour later, the area around the fountain is quiet again. He has completely sold out of every single bottle. Lin Jie weighs a heavy sack of coins in his hand, noting that selling just a single copper cheaper than the shops ensures an instant sellout. He calculates his earnings. His initial investment of 100 copper has ballooned into a staggering 1,000 copper in just 60 minutes. He smiles at the massive profit. His reward for the day has effectively been multiplied by 10 thanks to his alchemy. Meanwhile, the 2 thugs are convinced they've stumbled onto top secret beta intel that could shake the entire game's economy. Jabba excitedly mixes his junk ingredients, thinking he's following the secret recipe to the letter. But instead of a healing potion, a foul purple cloud of smoke erupts from his bottle, signaling a catastrophic failure. The system warns them they've created toxic sewage, but they're too blinded by greed to stop now. Unaware of the danger, Hawk encourages his partner to give the strange bubbling mixture a taste test. Suddenly, a server-wide announcement rings out. Player Jabba has officially slain himself through his own incompetence. Other players stare in shock at the spot where Jabba just perished, confused by the sudden and bizarre suicide. Watching the scene from afar, Lin Jie muses that alchemy is a curse for those who try to shortcut the system without understanding it. With his pockets full and his work finished, Lin Jie prepares to log off and figure out how to spend his new pile of cash. Apartment 401 isn't much to look at, but the person inside is about to turn it into a gold mine. Lin Jie takes off his helmet, having just converted a small amount of in-game gold into a fortune in the real world. A notification pops up confirming that 5 million yuan just landed in his account, proving the system works. He stares at the screen with a satisfied smirk, knowing his second chance is already paying off. That peace is short-lived, though, as a heavy banging at the door breaks the silence. Young Master Rex kicks the door open, flanked by his thugs, and demanding the protection money they're here to collect. Lin Jie's mother tries to argue that the debt isn't due until the end of the month, but they aren't listening. Rex is fuming after losing $1 million in the game era, and he's decided to take his frustration out on them. He looms over her with a cold stare, clearly looking for a fight to satisfy his own ego. She begs for just a few more days, her voice trembling as the thugs start to move further into the room. Rex doesn't care about their situation. He's already looking for other ways to settle the score. One of the lackeys suddenly lunges forward and grabs Shur, dragging her away while she struggles and screams for help. Her mother panics, reaching out as the situation turns from a simple debt collection into something much worse. Rex smirks cruelly, suggesting that a girl like she would fetch a very high price on the market. He turns to mock Lin Jie, calling him a useless piece of trash who hides behind games while his family gets torn apart. He even suggests that Lin Jie should sell his organs, since it's the only way a loser like him will ever be worth anything. Lin Jie finally speaks up from the corner, asking if 1 million yuan would be enough to shut them up for good. He holds up his phone, his expression completely calm as he stares down the bullies. The thugs laugh at the obvious bluff, until a real-time transfer notification hits Rex's phone. Rex stares at the screen in total disbelief. Exactly 1 million yuan has just been deposited into his account. Lin Jie repeats the question, his cold eyes fixed on the man who was just threatening his sister. His family is in shock, unable to figure out how he could have gotten that much cash in an instant. The lackeys crowd around Rex's phone, counting every zero to make sure they aren't seeing things. It's real. The atmosphere shifts instantly from mockery to pure confusion. Rex grabs Lin Jie by the collar, refusing to believe that a game-addicted loser could pull this off. He demands to know where the money came from, his pride stung by the fact that Lin Jie isn't begging for mercy. Lin Jie just stares back, telling his mother to head back inside while he deals with this piece of trash. Rex is losing his mind. He lost $1 million in game, and seeing his victim throw that same amount around feels like an insult. He pulls out a knife, claiming the $1 million Lin Jie sent doesn't pay back the debt. It's just compensation for his in-game loss. Lin Jie's gaze turns icy as he realizes Rex has no intention of stopping here. Rex lunges with the blade, but Lin Jie moves with a speed that the human eye can barely track. The thug freezes in midair, shocked to see his target simply vanish from right in front of him. Lin Jie appears right next to him, letting Rex know that his skills aren't limited to just a virtual world. A sickening crack fills the room as Lin Jie pins him to the floor, leaving Rex in disbelief that this gamer brat could actually fight. Lin Jie looks down at the screaming bully with a cold smirk, finally letting his true power show. The lackeys are shouting threats, but they're too scared to move while Lin Jie has their boss in a lock. Rex's tough guy act completely dissolves as he begs for Lin Jie to let go before his arm snaps in half. Lin Jie doesn't let go, his gaze fixed on Rex like a predator that's finally caught its prey. To Rex, the guy holding him down doesn't look like a student anymore. He looks like a demon straight out of hell. Lin Jie asks him point-blank if he still plans on squeezing his family for more money. Rex starts babbling about a misunderstanding, promising that he has no reason to hassle them now that the debt is paid. Lin Jie looks at the remaining goons, who are all too happy to agree with their boss and stay out of the way. Lin Jie stares him down, giving them one last chance to get lost before he loses his patience. They don't need a second invitation, practically tripping over themselves as they bolt down the hallway. He watches them disappear around the corner, finally getting a moment of peace. Shur doesn't let them go quietly, shouting threats at their retreating backs and promising her brother will finish the job if they ever show their faces again. The thugs are way ahead of her, waving and swearing they'll never bother this family ever again. Once the coast is clear, she turns that fiery energy right toward Lin Jie, demanding to know exactly what just happened. He tries to play it cool, asking what she wants him to explain. But he isn't fooling anyone. She wants the truth. How did her ordinary brother suddenly become a millionaire who can take down thugs with one hand? Lin Jie breaks into a cold sweat, realizing he needs to come up with a story that satisfies her without revealing the whole rebirth thing. Seeing her healthy and vibrant makes him realize just how lucky he is to have a second chance at this life. In his previous timeline, things were his father had passed away, and Zishi's illness had buried the family in debt. Back then, the weight of the world was on his shoulders, and he spent every waking hour trying to find a way to save them. But no one wanted to hire a kid with no experience, leaving him with nothing but rejection letters and empty promises. He was at the absolute bottom, walking the streets with a handful of useless resumes and no hope in sight. That's when he saw a mascot promoting a new game called ERA, claiming it was a world where anyone could make it big. He stared at the flyer, reading about a virtual world where fortunes were waiting to be discovered by those willing to work for them. It was a gamble, but if he could make real money just by playing a game, he had to try. He dove in as a level 3 warrior, starting from zero in a world that didn't care if he lived or died. A party captain eventually noticed him, offering him a spot in a coin farming group that needed more warm bodies. The deal was simple: 2 copper coins per run, provided he didn't mind being the first one into the fray. Lin Jie didn't hesitate. He was desperate enough to take any deal that put food on the table. It wasn't an easy job, and every single quest felt like he was dancing on the edge of a blade. After one particularly brutal fight, the captain commented on how hard it was to actually kill him off. He always managed to be the last one standing, surviving situations that should have wiped out the entire group. He was constantly covered in blood and bandages, but as long as he made it back, he was getting paid. The captain even started throwing him extra copper coins, impressed by the grit this newbie was showing. Before long, the group started relying on him to lead the charge, begging him to stick around for future runs. As the months went by, the desperate kid looking for a paycheck started to vanish, replaced by a battle-hardened warrior. By the time he hit level 18, his movements had become fluid and precise, forged in the fires of constant survival. He became the guy who could solo bosses even after his entire team had been wiped out, earning a reputation for being unstoppable. That was when his goals began to shift. He didn't just want to survive anymore. He wanted to become the strongest player the world had ever seen. On the road to the top, money was the only way Lin Jie could protect the people who mattered. To do that, he had to become the absolute strongest. Later on, he met a fellow player who shared that same drive, Bailey Greatwall. They made a promise. They'd each become the best in their own class. One day, they'd settle at once.